Hello, guys. Welcome back to another episode of Brotherly Love in the District. Tristan here, along with Jacob, and Jacob's going to go ahead and tell you what we're going to get into today.
Yeah, so in the NFL, we have the draft coming up, and hockey, we're starting to get closer to playoffs. And for teams that are still in it, these games are very important. Because right now is the time you want to get hot. And finally into baseball, it's finally back. Opening day happened a few days ago, so I'm going to talk about that. So let's get right into it. But before we get right into that, it came out a few hours ago that former Washington quarterback Dwayne Haskins passed away in Florida this morning. He was struck by a car. And it's truly sad. I mean, his time in Washington wasn't all that great, but he did bring us something for a little bit, and that's hope. And that's something that we haven't been able to have in a very long time. And it seems like he was going to get his second chance, and in Pittsburgh, he had a lot of talent. I just think he needed to get into a right situation and get his mind right. So our prayers go out to his family, and it's just a really sad situation.
Yeah. So, couldn't have said it better myself. But going off of that, going into the NFL, I think we got a pretty big trade to talk about. So, as I thought, the Eagles did not keep all three first rounders, and Howie Roseman was out there wheeling and dealing, trying to get a pick for maybe the future or something. And sure enough, he did. So Eagles made a trade with the Saints. No players were involved, just draft picks. But I think the Eagles absolutely fleeced the Saints on this trade. So the Saints got the number 16 pick, which was from the Colts. No, it was from Miami. And then the number 19 pick, which was our original pick, and then a sixth rounder, the number 194 pick. The Eagles got the number 18 pick, the number 101 pick. They also still have the number 15 pick. The 15 pick was the Miami pick, and the 16th pick was the Colts pick. The 18 pick, which was the Saints' original pick, the number 101, which is a third rounder, 237, which is a seventh rounder, a 2023 first rounder, and a 2024 second rounder. So they got quite a bit in return for those two first rounders.
Yeah, when I saw that, I couldn't help but think that was a very stupid trade on the Saints end. I don't understand. If it was like a top 10 pick, then I would understand the trade, but I really cannot understand that trade. They just got rid of their entire feature pretty much because it seems like they have no future picks anymore. And I really can't understand that. And if I was an Eagles fan, I'd be ecstatic about that trade. That's pretty good.
Yeah. I'm really happy about this trade because so here's what I'm thinking. Here's what I'm thinking for the trade and how the reason that the Saints did it. So if you look at it, they got two first rounders, and I think the reason that they did it is because they probably think that they are only a couple players away from having a good playoff team, which I don't agree with because I think
I don't either.
They definitely need a quarterback, which they're not going to find in this draft because
but I think Jameis Winston is I think he's decent. I think they were pretty good when he was healthy last year, but I don't think he's going to be a Super Bowl winner.
He's decent, but they won't win with him, and that's ultimately what you want to do.
And not with like the supporting cast they had. If they had an amazing defense or like a stacked offense, then okay, but I just can't see that.
So Saints obviously have no more first rounders next year. As of right now, they still have a second rounder. Those are compensatory. Still a third rounder. So all they did was get rid of their first rounder. Yeah. So I wouldn't say they mortgaged their entire future away. It wasn't a great trade by them. but yeah, I mean, ultimately, it was a good trade because Howie Roseman got a future first rounder, which I think a lot of people could have saw him wanting to do. Uh, then you also so now they have two first rounders next season, and then another second rounder in 2024. Uh, but yeah, I think the Saints did it just because they thought that they were two decent players away from being a good team. But here's my thing. So every year they go through and they grade players and who should land where in the draft. And never in existence has there ever been an NFL first round where every single player taken in the first round is a first round prospect. You usually get between 12 and 15 first round prospects who are actually first round talents who can be plugged in and play immediately and make a difference, who are actual NFL players. For example, Micah Parsons, Devontae Smith, Jalen Waddle, those types of players. But I mean, last season you saw players like uh who's the Giants wide receiver? Kadarius Toney. He got plugged in. He made a little bit of a difference. Not great though. So I mean, players like those, you're seeing that they come in and they try to make a little bit, but they're not doing great because they're not real first round prospects. If you get over 15, that's a really good draft. So this season, they're somewhere in that 12 to 15 range. They're not over 15, so it's not a great first round draft. So I don't see how that working for them works because they're the 16 and 19 pick. So barring something shocking, they're not going to get a true first round talent, barring someone making some stupid draft pick. So yeah, overall, not a great trade for the Saints. Really good for the Eagles. But with that, I don't think the Eagles are going to take a wide receiver anymore. I was a little bit last week. I was a little bit. I feel like I had a little bit better grasp of what they would have wanted to draft had they had all three picks. Even though I know I said that I didn't know because I truly didn't know. Now with two, I think they're going to go D end and corner. I hope, because I mean those D end is really deep this season. I mean, there's projected 5-6 D ends going in the first round. Corner, you have Sauce Gardner, and after Sauce Gardner, there's kind of a big drop off. Derek Stingley has only played 10 games in the past 2 seasons total. Then you got Trent McDuffie out of Washington, and there's one other corner coming out of Washington, but they're both still kind of they're not rigid, or they're still rigid players and not ready for the NFL quite yet. So I heard a report earlier. This was not like them reporting anything saying that the Eagles are going to do this. This was just his opinion that I'm also bringing onto here because I think it'd be a good topic to talk about. No actual reports, but could you see the Eagles? So Sauce Gardner is definitely the best corner in the draft, potentially one of the best players in the draft, arguably top with Aiden Hutchinson. If Sauce Gardner falls out of the top 5, do you think the Eagles could trade up to get him? Because I mean, like, I think if you could probably like pair the 2 picks from today, or not today. Wow. From the first round that they have in 15 and 18 and pair them to go up to like number 6 to get Sauce Gardner.
I really don't know. I mean, I doubt if he'll drop that far, but it would almost feel a little counterintuitive as to what this trade done. I think you guys should really go for more depth because I think there's a lot more positions you need in terms of like amount versus like quality in one single spot, if that makes any sense.
But so here's my counter to that is so yeah, the Eagles do need depth and they do need a lot of players, obviously. They have 10 picks still in this draft. So the odds of them either keeping all 10 picks or drafting all 10 picks are quite low.
It is
And
low, but it would be very good for your team considering you need a lot, and especially in terms of on the defensive side of the ball.
and also say they do take 10 picks. The odds of them keeping all 10 picks come cut day, that also very low chance.
Fair point.
I've seen a couple. I've been looking at a couple mock drafts, uh, and I've seen I've seen some people have Sauce Gardner going in the top five, couple having him make it to 10. I don't think I've seen anyone make it past have him making it past number 10. But I feel like the lower he drops, the easier it would be to make a trade, and then maybe a little bit less for uh that pick. And also, it's a premier position, but it's not like you're trading for a quarterback. Like, quarterback is such an important role in this league that if you were to trade up, you probably would have to do those two first rounders for this season and maybe a future first rounder. Whereas now I think they could potentially get away with trading away their first rounder and their second rounder. They have the number 51 pick, I believe, in the second round. So hang on, I'm gonna just look that up just to make sure. But yeah, they have somewhere between 51 and 54 in the second round, which is still a pretty decent pick. I mean, that's a little bit later, but it's still a decent pick. And that could still get you a pretty premier type player, because the second round is still players you could see play in the first year and definitely will be starting by the second year if everything goes right.
Well, yeah, just to put this in perspective, Terry McLaurin was taken in the third round, and he's a top 10 wide receiver in the league.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, like, and then Landon Dickerson, he's starting for the Eagles are the number 151 pick in the second round. Landon Dickerson, he was drafted in the second round. He started last season, and he's probably going to be a future starter for a while on the offensive line. So I mean, I can see them potentially getting rid of the first and a second rounder to move up, and I think that could work because it's not such a highly touted position like quarterback. Like, don't get me wrong, corner is needed, but there's a lot more corners than there are running or quarterbacks.
Yeah. And one thing, I've heard this draft is deep in terms of running back depth, not so much at the top end, but there's a lot of decent guys throughout the draft.
Yeah,
Considering the Miles Sanders situation, can you see them taking a running back? Because I can.
definitely in the second or third round. Not.
Yeah.
I also think so. I think that's hard because, all right now the Eagles have Miles Sanders, Kenny Gainwell, who they really like, who looks like he's probably going to be a quarterback of the future. Running back of the future. Boston Scott, who they just tendered for over $1 million guaranteed this season, so they're going to keep him. So I mean, they already got 3 running backs who they're going to use consistently. The only way that I see them drafting a running back in the second round and using him is if it's a power back. Because they already have, if they do draft a running back in the second or third round, I want it to be a power back. Let's put it that way, because they already have the finesse speed type guys. They need someone that they can put in on the 2-yard line and power into the end zone.
In there.
Yeah. So if they do draft semi-early, I would consider second round semi-early, third round even potentially semi-early. If they do that, I think they need to go with a power back, and then that could potentially leave it open for Miles Sanders to get a contract extension after this season if he doesn't get injured again, which highly unlikely, but because I believe he's been injured every single season that he's been here. So if he gets injured again this season, he's definitely not getting an extension. If he doesn't, I could potentially see them extending him, but still nothing guaranteed.
Yeah.
Uh, so I could definitely.
In terms of Washington, I honestly have no clue what they're going to do. The most recent NFL mock draft had us taking a linebacker, which I think is that's the wrong decision in my mind. We just came off of drafting a linebacker in the first round, Jamin Davis. He had moments where he looked good, but he needs an experienced person beside him to help him develop.
Have
He,
have you
I have
have
no
you seen
clue where they're going to
Charles?
go.
Have you seen Charles Davis's mock draft?
I have not.
I think this might be like the I don't want to say strange because obviously like he has experience and knows what he's doing, but it's definitely the most out of the ordinary mock draft that I've seen. So he
Let
has
me pull it
Tavon
up.
he has Tavon Walker, who's a D tackle, getting taken first overall from Georgia. Aiden Hutchinson 2, Kayvon Thibodeau 3. Um, Malik Willis being the first quarterback drafted, going 6th to the Panthers.
I saw that in another one that Kenny Pickett was going to go 6, and that's just in my mind that's just incorrect.
Uh, Jermaine Johnson, who he hasn't been great, but he did play really well this offseason, like with his training and everything, going 7th. Sauce Gardner going 9th to the Seahawks. Kyle Hamilton going to Washington. Trent McDuffie going to Minnesota.
This is strange.
Yeah, it's kind of they have the Eagles drafting Devontae Wyatt, who's a defensive tackle out of Georgia.
You need defensive ends, not tackles.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And Andrew Booth going to the Eagles. It's just kind of a weird draft in my opinion for
I mean, I know a lot of the stuff is just shot in the dark, but
yeah.
I mean
But I mean
that's a
still,
little reachy in my
and
mind.
he has Jameson Williams falling all the way to 25, who I think is potentially the best wide receiver to take in the first round.
He's not going to fall that far. He'll like I'll
I
be
think he'll go in the
surprised if
top
he
20.
Yeah, I'll be surprised if he falls out of the top 15, considering that we may be looking for one if a good one's there. So
But yeah, I think it was just, and then they have the Lions taking Matt Corral, and Kenny Pickett going to the Steelers at number 20. So only 3 quarterbacks getting picked in the first round, which I think
in
is
reality,
reasonable.
it probably should be only be 2 in the bottom 20 in my mind because
Yeah,
the quarterbacks they aren't first round talents, but they're going to be taking the first round because it's a big need.
yeah, and because it's a prime position to play. But yeah,
Yeah, and
I just
people are
thought
always
that
going to
was
reach.
I thought it was uh a different draft
Yeah, we'll say that.
because a lot of them I've been looking at a couple mock drafts and it's all like Aiden Hutching, Aiden Hutchinson, Kayvon Thibodeau, and Sauce Gardner 3 out of the 5 going, which that's usually that's been the kind of staple in these mock drafts. But with that, I think that's all we really have for the NFL. Actually, one more thing. The safeties are actually like better than the people are saying. So Kyle Hamilton, obviously the top one. But the players that like they're not looking at, you got Jaquan Brisker out of Penn State and Daxton Hill out of Michigan, both also really good safeties who could potentially go in the first round. And they're saying Jaquan Brisker is like that type of Kyle Hamilton player where you can play inside the box. He can play anywhere because he's super versatile, and move around the field, be a leader. And then Daxton Hill is that kind of like hang back, play defense type of guy like Marcus Williams, who just signed with the Ravens, who's one of the best free safeties in the NFL. If the Eagles would, if Howie Roseman would kind of go away from him being him and draft a safety, I'd be happy with any of those 3 because we need a safety so badly.
You need a lot, so it's going to be a little hard to make a bad pick.
I feel like okay, but here's what here's the way that I look at it, in the fact that the Eagles have a prime playing corner in Darius Slay. Corner is a really deep position every season, which I feel you could get one in the second round who could still start the season and make a difference. I feel like you could do that in the second round too. It's just a little less because there's not as many prime safeties as there are corners. So I feel like safety would be a better overall pick than a corner, because that could be a while for the future. Same with corner, obviously. But safety, the Eagles have Marcus Epps, he was a practice squad guy who's come over. He's actually played pretty well. He's playing free safety a lot, but and they stuck with Anthony Harris. They re-signed him. So the Eagles don't have a prime safety like they do at corner. So that's the only reason that I'm kind of leaning towards drafting a safety over a corner in the first round, because I mean, the odds of it happening are very low, because Howie Roseman doesn't like to draft safeties or linebackers in the first round. Though I would like to see it happen. And if it does, I'd be very happy. That's where I'll leave that off there. But I believe that's it. You have anything else for the NFL?
Yeah, no, like I said with Washington, it's a shot in the dark, it feels like, in terms of how they're going to go in terms of the draft. So we'll see.
And I've seen a lot of mock drafts saying you guys are going to pick up Kyle Hamilton, which would be a huge addition. That is a pick that I would be mad about, because he's playing the Eagles twice a year, and that's where I would leave that. But
yeah, it would be nice, and then I'd be interested to see where they go in second and third.
Yeah. Let's move over to the NHL, where you're talking about the Caps having their critical games this season.
Yeah, we just recently beat the Tampa Bay Lightning, which is a big win for us. And right now, I've said the same thing. It's right now is the time to get hot. We're facing the Penguins today in about 3 hours. I mean, before that, we haven't been playing that well. We got beat 5-1 by the Wild, but hopefully this is a kickstart to kind of start playing some good games. But we have some tough games coming up. We face the Penguins, the Bruins, the Flyers, which that'll be an easy win. The Maple Leafs, the Habs, easy win. The Avs, the Golden Knights, Coyotes, Maple Leafs. So, I mean, we still have some difficult games left that are really going to be critical to what could possibly be our success in the playoffs.
I think the Flyers are playing better now that they are eliminated from the playoffs. So I wouldn't exactly say easy win. That's a division win with a team playing with absolutely nothing to lose. Nothing. So they could play as free as they want and have no downside to their play.
Hopefully it's a really scrappy, gritty game.
Yeah. So because the Flyers have brought up a bunch of young guys.
Yeah, I said that early in the season that they should just do that, get them as much playing time.
Yeah, and I wanted to pull up the younger guys. They brought up Noah Cates, who is brothers with Jackson Cates, who's also on the Flyers, and Robbie Adder, who both scored their first point recently. Cam York has been playing insanely well. He's also playing on his offside and still doing just as well. So, I mean, the future, Morgan Frost is playing with a lot more confidence. He's playing well. So, I mean, the young guys are coming in and they have nothing to lose aside. Like, they just need to show what they can do to stay in the NHL. Owen Tippett he's playing pretty well too. He's had, I want to say 4 or 5 breakaways since he's joined the Flyers. He's only finished on 1, I believe, but he's getting opportunities, which is what you want to see from younger players. So I'm pretty happy with the way that the younger guys are playing. Owen Tippett has 2 goals and an assist in 10 games. Noah Cates 2 goals in 5 games. Cam York has 9 points in 28 games. Morgan Frost, who's finally starting to catch heat a little bit in the past couple of games, in his last 5, he has 2 points. So, which he wasn't doing much at the beginning of the season because he was dealing with injury and he was being moved up and down, but I think he's here to stay. Cam York is here to stay, I think. Owen Tippett's definitely here to stay. I don't see him being shipped down anymore. So I think they're keeping a lot of the younger guys up here, which I like to see because I think they're playing well. And they look like they have a little bit of chemistry going, which is good for the future if you're playing with the same guys over and over again. The Flyers, I mean, not like their schedule really matters. Just split a home and home with Columbus. They have the Ducks. Either it's today or tomorrow, but I can't see because there's an ad on my screen. Yeah, they're playing the Ducks today. And then they have Washington and New York and then Buffalo. A home and home with Buffalo, actually. So they have some decent competition coming up. You know, it actually hurts me more than anything about the Flyers being eliminated. It's the fact that the Flyers were eliminated before Buffalo. that hurts my soul.
Dude, that's not good.
Hurts deep down, but hey, better chance for them to get a lottery pick. And I saw this. I was listening to this other podcast, and he went through the winners of the lottery and the team who finished last in the season. And I think you'd be shocked by how many teams who finished last in the NHL didn't get the number 1 pick overall. There were, I don't know the number off the top of my head, but in the past 10 or 15 years, there might have been 2 who got the last.
Wow.
Who got the last place in the NHL and still got the first pick. Like last season, the Rangers got the first pick, and I want to say the Devils finished last in the NHL. No, it was Buffalo.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the Rangers still won. So, I mean, it's kind of weird how the lottery actually does work for other teams than being the last in the NHL. But little glimpse there, and that's about all I have for the NHL because, like I said, nothing's going on with the Flyers really.
Yeah, not much more is going on with the Caps. I mean, critical games, so we'll see how it plays out. But if I'm being honest, I think regardless of how we play, I think we're going to get bounced in the first round. I just think that's what's going to happen. But you never know. We could surprise everybody and lose in the second round.
It looks like you guys are also doomed to be stuck in a wild card.
Yeah, I think that's just how it's going to go.
You guys are 8 points behind Tampa. You're closer to getting into a division spot than moving up 1 wild card because the Atlantic Division is just absolutely insane. Florida has 106 points. They've clinched a playoff spot. Toronto has 98 points. Boston has 95 points. And Tampa has 94. Tampa, who's a wild card, would be 3rd in our division with still 2 points of space. So, I mean, the Atlantic Division is just insane altogether. But yeah, like with that, I think that's really it for me.
In terms of hockey.
And going over to finish it off in the MLB, opening day finally happened. So happy. And finally have some real baseball.
And Nationals are already in mid-season form, losing 7-3 last night.
They've been trying to pluck these Mets players out.
They've hit a lot. I mean, I'm not sure. I don't know if it's on purpose. Steve Cishek apologized for nailing Lindor in the face, but we could see a few more plunk batters in tonight's game in terms of the Nats getting hit. But
they hit Pete Alonso in the first game, who
in
ended
the
up
face.
who ended up with a bloody lip and I think a bloody nose.
And then
And
Lindor got nailed in the face.
yeah, and last night I was at a hockey game, at like a personal hockey game, and they I was listening to the game on the radio because someone had it playing, and they they go, and Lindor just got hit in the face, and both benches clear, and now the bullpens are coming. They
Yeah,
had
I mean,
everyone out after Lindor got hit.
yeah, we're starting to hate the Mets more and more, even though they have Scherzer, who played pretty decent. Like it's starting to look how, like I said, that our offense is going to be interesting with Soto, Cruz, Bell, and Keibert Ruiz is actually playing pretty well right now. He's hitting 333 in 2 games. So, but yeah, our pitching is going to be terrible. We gave up 7 runs to Mets offense that isn't anything to write home about.
Mediocre at best.
Yeah, that's if they're hitting on all cylinders. So yeah, had a lot to look forward to, but I'm excited.
Phillies had their opening day yesterday. They didn't play on Thursday.
And you guys,
oh my gosh, the game was so
who needs defense and pitching when you have home runs?
And the pitching wasn't even bad. The Phillies Joe Girardi just did a Phillies manager and waited too long to pull out Aaron Nola. I mean, and it's not, I don't entirely blame Joe Girardi because in that game, Aaron Nola was pitching lights out. He had his speed pitches, he had his fastballs and his off speeds working perfectly, striking out the batters. But in the 7th inning, it was like he went from the 6th inning playing at prime Aaron Nola to just dropping to like a bullpen pitcher in the 7th inning. So
last season, Aaron Nola.
The 6th inning to the 7th inning was just brutal for him. And I think that's because the bottom of the 6th was so long for Aaron Nola to be sitting in the bullpen because the Phillies, I think they had 3 players walked and they had a couple other hits. So this bottom of the 6th was like a 20-minute half inning, which is a long time for Aaron Nola to be sitting there with nothing going on with his arm. So I think that might have played a factor because it was late in the game. But I don't even blame Joe Girardi because it was just out of the blue. Just he was here and then all of a sudden just dropped all the way down to like a terrible bullpen pitcher. So
I mean, and to be fair to your bullpen, they didn't pull a Phillies bullpen. They actually pitched pretty decent.
Yeah, they did pitch pretty good. Jeurys Familia, I believe, gave up. I think he got knocked with an unearned run, but
yeah,
he pitched pretty well. And then Brad Hand came in and somehow I believe he finished off the inning without allowing a single run. And there were at least 2 base runners on.
He only had to get 1 out, but he let a hit, then got a strikeout, and that's very on Brad Hand like to actually pitch good.
Yeah, he only had 1 hit. He didn't allow a single run. Jeurys Familia did get docked with an unearned run.
Your favorite pitcher, Sir Anthony Dominguez, actually pitched good.
I don't know how that's my favorite pitcher. And then
it's called sarcasm.
Knebel wasn't even in a save situation, but he came in and finished business. So ultimately, it was a good. Aaron Nola, like I said, he only allowed 1 hit prior to the 7th inning. He gave up 1 run. Gave up 1 run, and on the day he had 7 strikeouts.
Yeah, and if Bryson Stott made his debut, he went 2 for 4, and if he continues to play like this, I think it may be time to move on from Alec Bohm and try to parlay that into some pitching.
So what the future is going to be, I'm actually interested to see what they're going to do because something tells me that they're going to want to work Alec Bohm into the lineup more because right now they have Didi Gregorius starting at shortstop and Bryson Stott starting at third. But Bryson Stott is naturally a shortstop. Didi Gregorius' contract is up after this season. So he's going to be gone. They're going to be working with Bryson Stott.
Yeah, I understand that, but you guys need pitching a lot more than you do need an extra bat in my mind because so when it comes down to it, Castellanos can play third as well.
So, but what I'm getting at is the fact that they don't have to worry about hitting after this season, because you were saying it might be time to move on from Alec Bohm. There's no time to move on from Alec Bohm because Alec Bohm will be starting next season, because Didi Gregorius' contract will be up and they're not going to re-sign him if they have Bryson Stott, who's obviously the shortstop of the future if he plays like he did yesterday. Yesterday, he had a couple errors. But they were all hard plays to make. I don't think they were entirely his fault, but they were hitting him his way. He had a couple good plays. There was one in particular. There were two plays in particular where I think he was looking at the runner as he was throwing the ball. So he kind of threw it into the runner, making it a little bit harder for Rhys Hoskins to make the play, which one he should have got docked with the error, but Rhys Hoskins got hit with the error instead. But so there were a couple plays where he could have been a little bit better, but ultimately, I think he played well offensively and defensively. Got his first hit, his first run, his first RBI, his first double, and so I mean, he has everything. All he needs is a triple and a home run tonight, and he's got it all done in the first 2 days. Got all of his first done. So, I think ultimately he played really well. Kyle Schwarber came out and he hit a
Was that a leadoff bomb?
leadoff homer, first at bat as a Philly. So that was looking like a good signing. Nick Castellanos struggled though. He struck out 3 times yesterday. He went 1 for 4 with 3 strikeouts.
Time to trade him, Tristan.
But when he did get a hit, it was an important one. I think the Phillies need to. This is going to be something that I think they're going to realize as the season goes on, is they don't need to be so aggressive base running. There was a play yesterday where Bryce
Harper. You don't really even have any fast players.
They don't, but they're still. So there was a play early in I believe it was the 4th, where Bryce Harper turned a single into a double that should have stayed a single. He almost got out, but Kemp for the A's, when he was going to apply the tag, he lifted his glove a little. So Bryce Harper was able to slide his foot right under his glove and get into the base, and he was safe. Which was an interesting call because they originally called him out, and Bryce Harper didn't move. He's like, no, check the cameras. That was not an out. I'm safe. Which was a good call by Harper because he was ultimately safe, leading to a big 4th inning for him. But in the 7th inning, I believe, Nick Castellanos hit a double that he tried to turn into a triple, but since he's not exactly a speedster, he got tagged out.
You don't need to do that this early.
And if look at the lineup. Our lineup is, I would say, the week 2, and one of them is ultimately probably going to be better than he is right now because he's a rookie. You got Schwarber, Real Muto, Harper, Castellanos, Hoskins, Gregorius, Segura, and Stott and Vierling. The only I'll say week 3 because Gregorius is kind of an iffy hitter. He hit 209 last season, but when he's on, he's on. So even Gregorius, I wouldn't say is an iffy hitter, but up until you get to Stott, which the only reason I don't trust him entirely yet is because he's a rookie, but he still played good. He went 2 for 2 yesterday, or 2 for 4 yesterday. And Vierling is another young guy. So I'd say the only real weak hitter we have right now is Vierling because of the fact that he's a young guy.
Well, the only weak spot in your team is your pitching staff.
Yeah, I mean, the hitting is just insane. So they don't need to be so aggressive running the bases because you have bats right after you. So as long as you get on base, odds of you getting a run in are pretty high still. So, I mean, I think they'll learn as the season goes on that they don't need to be so aggressive running the bases. But ultimately, this team's going to be dangerous. It's looking good as long as they don't, pull a Philadelphia and underperform,
suck down the stretch.
Yeah, and underperform. But this team looks good, and I'm excited for the season. Did you see the Philly Fanatic face plant parachuting in?
I did see that. That's good job, Philly.
which he played it off so well. I don't know if that was planned or not.
It probably wasn't.
It probably wasn't, but he played it off
think.
so well. Like, that's exactly what I meant to do. I wanted to give everyone a laugh at the beginning of the season. Like, so I mean, he played it off pretty well. But yeah, and the Phillies are also, Zach Wheeler was questionable coming into the start of the season with an injury, but they're working the rotation so that he's the last pitcher to start, and then they're gonna let him go. So they had Aaron Nola yesterday. They have Kyle Gibson today. I think it's Eflin after that, and then they go Rangers Suarez and then Zach Wheeler. So they're working the rotation to have Zach Wheeler put in properly while he's not injured, which is good for the team. But ultimately, yeah, like I said, they should have won that game easily. The only reason it got interesting was because they pulled Aaron Nola too late. It's going to be a good season.
I wish I could say the same.
The Angels have a pitcher named Patrick Sandoval, and I just glimpsed at the screen real quick and saw P. Sandoval. I was like, yo,
Pablo Sandoval, not that one.
The Panda's a pitcher too. No way.
No.
That'd be funny. But yeah, that is it for me. Anything else for you?
I'm excited for the season. I'm excited to watch some baseball, but it's gonna be tough.
Yeah, you'll be excited for about the first 2 weeks, maybe the first month, and then you'll realize, I don't know why I was excited and give up.
At that point, I'll just reach the state where I just laugh at it.
Yeah. And then you start hoping they lose everything so that you can get a better draft pick.
Yeah. It should be fun.
But with that, that's all I have.
That's all I got.
All right. So you guys can follow us on Instagram at BL in the DC, and you can DM us some questions and comments. You can email us at blinthedc.com. Email us questions and comments. You can rate us on Apple and Spotify. And with that, that's going to be it. So we will see you guys next week.
See you later.